In this atmosphere of hope, tension, growth, and danger, Surah Al Baqarah began to descend. It would be the first major Madni surah. It was no ordinary surah. It was long, the longest in the Quran. But it wasn't revealed all at once. It came over nearly 9 years, piece by piece, verse by verse, in response to real events. Each set of verses arrived during war and peace, in times of joy and loss, after betrayal and triumph. The surah responded to the plots of the hypocrites, the broken treaties of certain tribes, the mourning of lost companions, and the daily needs of building a civilization, which included inheritance, business, law, oaths, fasting, marriage, divorce, even debt documentation. No topic was too small. No matter was ignored. The Quran was teaching not just faith, but functioning society. Thus, Surah Al Baqarah shaped the foundation of the new Muslim nation. Surah Al Baqarah doesn't begin with an event or story. It begins with a declaration. This is the book in which there is no doubt, a guidance for those who have taqwa, God consciousness. This is the answer to the prayer we ask Allah in Surah Al-Fatiha. Guide us to the straight path. Surah Al Baqarah is that path. It tells us to have belief in the unseen and faith in all prophets. It teaches us about prayer, charity, fasting, family, and marriage. It also guides us on how to handle money and trade, war and peace, hypocrisy and betrayal, and it often uses the lives of past nations as a case study. It is a constitution for an ummah. Why is this surah named Al-Baqarah? Baqarah means cow in English. Among the many stories in this surah is one about Bani Israel, the children of Israel in the time of Moses, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. A man was murdered in the community of Bani Israel, and no one knew who the killer was. To help solve the mystery, Allah told them, through Prophet Musa, to slaughter a cow. But instead of obeying simply, they argued and started asking lots of unnecessary questions, like, what kind of cow? What color? What's its age? Can you be more specific? Even though the command was clear, they kept delaying, not because they wanted to understand, but because they didn't really want to obey. As they complicated Allah's command, Allah made it more difficult for them, until it became very hard to find. In the end, they did it, but unwillingly. So, what's the lesson? Obey Allah sincerely and quickly. Don't delay and make it complicated by making excuses. Asking too many questions to avoid doing what's right shows a lack of trust in Allah. That's why this surah is called the cow. It's a warning not to act like Bani Israel did. So, who wrote it down? As verses were revealed, the Prophet ﷺ would immediately call his scribes, the companions who would write it down. Companions like Zayd ibn Thabit and Ubay ibn Ka'b, may Allah be pleased with them, and say, place this verse after that one. So the Quran was not only preserved by memory by the hundreds of companions who were Hufaz, but was also recorded accurately on materials like leather, bone, wood, and parchment. After the Prophet ﷺ passed away, Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, oversaw its first compilation. Uthman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, later created standard copies and sent them across the empire, preserving the Quran perfectly for all time. You might ask, how is Surah Al Baqarah still relevant to us? Well, Surah Al Baqarah wasn't just for 7th century Arabia. It's a guide for us. It shows us how to believe, how to live, how to face enemies, how to deal with money, how to trust Allah, and how to ask Him for help. It concludes with the most beautiful dua, a gift to every believer. That dua is, Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. Pardon us, forgive us, have mercy on us. And that's how the surah ends, with mercy, hope, and light. Just like the Medina dawn that first welcomed the Prophet, peace be upon him.